Hi, I'm Richard, and we're at the Open Air Blues Festival in Brezoi. With me is Barry Hopwood from Blues Matters magazine. How were you introduced to the blues?
When I was younger, I got heavily into live music on albums, and the local record shop owner gave me an album and said, try this, and it was 9 Below Zero, live at the Marquee, and it just blew my mind. And after I heard the songs, I wanted to look deeper into the construction of them and who wrote them. So in them days before the internet, you had to actually research stuff without just clicking a button. And that was my love for the blues. I found Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf, found Sonny Boy Williamson, found a lot of them had live albums, and that was me hooked. 40 years later, I'm still hooked. So, yeah.
How did you become a music journalist?
By chance, I have made a collection of music memorabilia, which I put into like a man cave. And I asked people from the blues scene in England if they would play acoustic gigs in. From that, it led to me being asked by the editor of Blues Matters magazine if I would like to do a few reviews. I have no education of such other than comprehensive school, but he said just write from the heart what you thought, and that was it. And now he's asked me to do interviews, and now I've gone on to come here, which is very nice.
So this is actually the first festival you're coming to as a journalist?
Yeah.
Wow.
I've been to a lot of festivals in the UK. I've travelled extensively, mostly to Italy. I've been going to Italy for 15 years. But that's why they asked me, I think, because they said that you like your travel, you love your music, go out there and let us know all about it. So, yeah.
Do you have a vinyl collection?
I do, actually.
What's your view on the vinyl phenomenon, and tell me a little bit about your music collection?
Well, when I started collecting was in the 70s, when I was growing up with David Bowie, Roxy Music, stuff like that. And I just, from a young age, something about me just kept everything clean. I used to treat the vinyls with the utmost respect. I never put fingers on it. I just always touching the centre, put them back in the sleeve whenever I finished, polish them once a few weeks, just looked after them, and I've carried on the same way. And it's lovely for me as a vinyl enthusiast to see it all coming back, because it's like full circle. So yeah, I love it. I love the fact. I always said, and I still believe to this day, you get a better sound with vinyl. Them cracks, them crackles, it's all part of, to me, live music. If you put even recorded music, it sounds a bit live if it's on a vinyl.
There's this expression floating around about keeping the blues alive. What's your opinion about that?
It's a hard one for me, because it's never gonna die, as far as I know. I mean, this weekend I've met youngsters that are 20 years old, and they're telling me they love bands like Led Zeppelin. One even said he loves Howlin' Wolf. So to me, that means they're gonna be the next generation taking it forward. Might be in a different way, but at least the backbone is still there. So it'll always be here. It'll always be here. As long as we have hardships and grief, someone will sing the blues.
What do you think of the fact that most modern blues artists are mixing genres? Do you find that?
I find some of it quite refreshing.
Okay.
Some I've heard. I think there's a guy called Hello Black, and he's used old blues songs, made them his own. And yeah, anything that promotes a style of music that I love, I think it's great. Whether they put a new spin on it, because mostly all music is a new spin of something else. You just can't, it's hard in the 21st century to come up with something new without people saying, yeah, that's been done by someone, that's been done by him, that's been done by her. So yeah, I love it. I love the fact that it's still going. So.
And you were talking earlier about Barry's Blues Barn.
Yeah,
how did that start out?
Well, I've been going to live music since 1979, and I still had the ticket stub from the first gig, and that's just been one of the things I've done over the years, collected.
What gig was that?
Lou Reed, Hammersmith Pally. And I remember coming out of there completely high, because although I was only 17 at the time, everyone around me seemed to be a lot older, smoking weed, because you could smoke indoors in them days. And yeah, every time I've been to a gig, I kept a ticket stub or a poster that I happened to get hold of off the wall. And yeah, the wife said to me, either throw it away or build somewhere to put it all out of the house. So that's what I done. And it was quite funny, because once I built it, just by chance, I asked a couple of artists if they'd do an acoustic gig in there, and then it just went crazy. And it seems to be an up-growing thing in the UK at the minute for back garden and indoor gigs, because if you offer, say, I don't know, 20 to 30 people, an absolute quality artist, but as long as you say to them, if you can pay 20 to 30 pound to watch him for 2 hours, when 30 people all put their money together, that's a good payday for the artists in the UK. So,
of course, yeah. And what about Barry's Blues Barn art?
Well, I've always been a bit arty from a young age. Used to do things, when I would buy posters, I would get posters what every other guy would get from the era, but I would cut things out of a magazine and stick them in the middle of them, and I would get, say, a poster of a rowing boat on a river, but I would cut out a lion laying down and stick him in the rowing boat. So the art thing was always there. And of course, when the pandemic struck, I had a lot of time on my hands, so I started building things with the leftover wood from the blues barn, and yeah, it just sort of caught on, and now people have started buying it. I've given it away, more of a hobby really, but as I like to say, most men need a purpose in life, and if you've got things to do, you'll always be alive. So, and after I'm long gone, there'll still be something of mine left. So yeah, I think that's part of it. So yeah.
And last question is, what do you think of the Open Air Blues Festival in Brezoi that we're at right now?
Without a doubt, for me, it's possibly been the best blues festival we've ever been to outside of the UK.
Why do you say that?
It's just such a friendly place. I mean, everyone I've met's been ultra nice. The ideas of how they look after the artists, running them to and fro from airports, picking them up, taking them to hotels and villas, looking after them, getting them back. It's just been wonderful to watch for me, because the UK scene is quite dire at the moment. I mean, I was talking to one artist recently at a festival. He was the headline act. He got an £8 voucher to spend on food, but he had to go out into the crowd and queue up with the people at the festival.
Oh.
But the food would have been more than £8, so he was basically just getting a discounted price. But that, to me, is wrong. You need people like the Open Air Blues Festival that completely look after the artists. So, yeah, I'm loving every second of it.
So if you've been listening to what Barry's been saying, you better come on down to the Open Air Blues Festival in Brezoi.